Hello, good evening, London. Good afternoon, Houston in Texas. My name is Dr. Patrick Singh, founder of Greatness University. And this afternoon in Texas or evening in London, I'm pleased to host and interview Tempestt Smith. Tempestt Smith is a business coach, entrepreneur, speaker, and importantly, CEO of ATSJR companies. So she's here to share her story on how Antonio Smith changed her life. Hello, Tempest. How are you?
Hi, I am great. How are you?
I'm great and grateful. Thank you very much for taking your time from your busy schedule to be with us this evening or afternoon in Texas to share your story on how Antonio changed your life. Um,
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. So before we go into that story, could you tell us who you are, what you do?
Okay, so as you said, I am the CEO of the ATSJR companies. I do a lot of things. I wear a lot of hats. I manage Antonio. That is a job all by itself. I coach. I train. We run the ATS Business University. Uh, I do a lot. I help with our church. I'm a daughter. I stay at home with my mom and I help her as well. I just do a lot of things for a lot of different people. My life is always busy, but it's what it is. I'm grateful for the life that I have.
Wow, that is very amazing. There's a lot of work you have to do. When you say you manage Antonia, what do you mean?
I manage Antonio's schedule, and if
Okay.
anybody knows anything about Antonio's schedule, it is hectic, and someone has to keep him in line, keep him moving from place to place or thing to thing. So that's what I mean by manage him, his schedule, but also trying to keep Antonio in line.
Okay, in line of being a lead, I do imagine that. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. So, just about you, looking back, how did you, what event led you to Antonio? Do you remember that moment, how you came to know of Antonio, the first day you met him?
I remember that day very distinctly. I met Antonio June of 2011. He was doing a business training presentation at a hotel, and I happened to work at that hotel. And he walked in, and I thought that he was the most arrogant person I've ever seen in my life. He just had so much confidence, and I just thought he was very arrogant. And um, he did his presentation. He came back and asked me, could he have my contact information to show me what he does? And I was hesitant about that, but he would not leave from my face. So I felt forced to give him my information. But I gave him information, and the rest, as they say, is history. Since that day, I believe I have talked to him every single day up until today.
So,
It's
would
been
you
a crazy
say that Antonio Smith started changing your life from day one?
from day one, definitely.
Wow.
Definitely. Day one, he left a major impression on me. Like I said, I thought he was arrogant, and I was giving him my contact information in hopes of brushing him off, but obviously that didn't work. And here we are. But yeah, he definitely made a huge impact from day one.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that. But I'm going to ask you another question. Could you share some of the moments or the changes that have happened between June 2011 and now? That's about 7 years. So, what are the kind of changes that have taken place in you because of Antonio?
So I would say Antonio met me. I had very low self esteem. I wasn't grateful for life. I wasn't grateful for anything. I was just kind of going through the motions, waking up, going to work, doing whatever. And he taught me how to pause and appreciate the moment, how to pause and appreciate the day, how to pause and just observe life. And he taught me that I didn't know I had low self-esteem when I met him. And he would start doing small things like, I would cry a lot, I would be sad a lot, and he would encourage me along the way. He would just randomly call me like he does today, just to say, hey, I think you're doing a great job. Hey, keep up the good work. Hey, you're on the right path. And that started impacting me. And little by little, his encouragement, his genuine love, genuine appreciation started trickling down to me, and it started affecting me. And he started helping me with, raising my self-esteem. He started helping me just being grateful. I don't know if he realized that he taught me how to be grateful, but he did. He showed me that it wasn't a lesson. It was just how he lived his life. He's grateful for everything, like things that you don't think to pause and be grateful for. He's grateful for it. Someone offers him a Coke and you'll think it's the best thing you've given him all of his life. And he's just so grateful and so happy all the time. So his life, his living taught me how to pause and just appreciate life.
Wow. It is deep. Reading your story is really deep because I was reading and I came to a part where it says, Antonio's pure existence changed me. When I first met him, he told me how he grew up homeless, how his mother and father abandoned him. He told me how he had to sleep inside a dumpster and has shown me the exact location where he lived. He told me how hard it was going to school or trying to as a homeless child who could not take bath, comb his hair, or even have a pencil on the desk to do homework. But through all this, he still manages to wear an incredibly huge smile. He taught me how to be grateful. So, when you discovered his early life, how did you feel being in that place and when he was showing you the exact location where he spent those years?
So when he first told me that he grew up homeless and he was abandoned, I thought, yeah, right. Because you hear stories like that, but I've never met somebody who was actually homeless. So, looking at who he was and what he was doing at the time, I was like, there's no way possible. Until I started listening to him more, and he wrote his book, Keep Walking, and he put it in Keep Walking. And one day we were driving in Galveston, and I don't remember the street, but he was like, here, turn right at the next street. So we turned right, and we get to the place, we stop, and he was like, here's where I grew up. It used to be a building here, but it's since torn down. And then since the building's gone, obviously the dumpster is gone. And he was like, this is the spot where I grew up. This is where the dumpster was, and this is where I slept. And I cried because you can feel the story, you can feel the energy, he's telling me the story, he's telling me how he had to defend himself as a child, he's telling me the stories about being raped and molested, having to fight for food and try to keep himself warm and all this kind of stuff. So I cried, and it was silent for the rest of the ride. I took him home, and the moment he got the car and I couldn't see him anymore, I just started bawling. I couldn't control myself because this was what I was thinking at the time, someone who is so great in my eyes, someone who has accomplished so much, went through so much pain and went through so much hurt and abandonment. And here he is grateful. Here he is happy. Here he is living his best life every day. and I go home and complain because I don't have the things that I want. So you don't experience touching the ground that someone lives, like literally the grass and the cement block. You don't leave that experience and then go home the same. So the whole ride home, there's like an hour distance between he and I. Whole ride home, I'm thinking to myself, how can I be ungrateful with my life? And this grown man who was a child at the time taught himself how to be grateful, taught himself how to appreciate living in a dumpster. And here we are in houses. I've never grew up homeless. I've never been without a roof over my head. I've never, never went without. And I complain, but he doesn't. So for me, I couldn't leave that experience. I couldn't leave that story and continue my life the same way it was. So he doesn't know this, but it was that day that I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I need to take Antonio way more seriously than what I've been taking him. Maybe I actually do need to learn from him and allow him to teach me, because if he can survive that experience for so many years, then there's nothing that I can't do. And look at how he's accomplished. Look at what he's done. And I'm complaining. And I didn't want to live a life where I was complaining, blessed, and someone had less than me and was so much more grateful for life than me. So that day, I don't remember what day that was. I remember it's kind of like fallish, I believe, but that day really flipped my perspective on life. And that's when I took him and his teaching seriously.
Wow. And Antonio is watching actually, and it's just
Hi, Antonio.
I don't know how he made it. So do you know how he made it then? Could you answer that question for us? How did he make it? How did he make it from being homeless to what he is today? A big influence, a big leader.
I have an answer, but I don't have an answer. I would say Antonio made it because he had no other choice. Either in his situation, especially living in the United States, especially being a African American male, he is not supposed to make it. He was supposed to end up like his parents, addicted to drugs. He was supposed to be, in prison, or he was supposed to be dead by now. But it was either survive or end up like the people who put me in my situation. And I think even today, I think that drives him. I think that's what wakes him up in the morning. He wakes up extremely early in the morning. I think that's what wakes him up and makes sure that he gives it his all every single day, because he knows what he could have been. He knows that statistically he is not supposed to be here. He is not supposed to be alive, or if he was supposed to be in jail, or he was supposed to end up like his parents. And he's not. And I think being better than his situation really drives him to be the best. And I think that's how he got here today.
Wow. Thank you very much for sharing that wisdom. Being able to make it because you have no choice. And that's a very important thing, because some people have too much choice and they can't think beyond the choices they have. But when you have no other options, there's no choice but trying to make it. And that's a very important message that you've just given us. I also wanted to ask you, when you met him in June 2011, one of the things that you remember very well in your story in this book, Miss Junior Changed Our Lives, is that he said, "I am the leader you're looking for."
Yes.
What does that?
Yes.
What bells does that ring in your head?
So he still tells people that to this day. And when he does it, I have the same reaction. I bust out laughing, because it's so it's arrogant, but not arrogant. It's a crazy belief. So when he told me that he was the leader I was looking for, I was like, well, first of all, sir, I'm not even looking for a leader, right? So how can you be a leader that I'm looking for when I'm not looking for a leader? But I just didn't know. that I was looking for a leader. I was looking for somebody to help me go further in my life or take me to the next level. So when he tells people that, most people don't believe him. Like, most people kind of brush him off. But the people who feel what he's saying, who vibrates at that frequency, I know that if they take him seriously, he is the leader that they're looking for. Most of us are walking through life like I was, just going through the motions, just, you know, go to work, go home, go to work, go home. But he leads people to a different type of life. And as crazy as it sounds, and I know he will never change that. That statement is powerful, and it has been proven true over and over and over again. That's too
Wow.
funny.
Would that be linked to the law of attraction in a way?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And at the time, I knew nothing about the law of attraction. And somehow I attracted a leader that I needed. So, yeah, that is so true.
And he's still emphasizing, he has just posted, he's still emphasizing, saying it's a fact that he is the leader you're looking for.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Antonia helped you change your life, and he continues to change other people's lives. And in here, you end your story by saying, Antonia Smith changed my life, not by talking a good game, by living up to and exceeding what he taught.
Mm.
So what is his mind teachings that other people can tap into to be able to create their best lives?
Antonio's number one lesson, I think, is to dominate, meaning give it all, put it all on the table. He'll say in his book, Keep Walking, he says, die empty, meaning I literally gave everything that I could today. Now I can rest. And, you know, when some of us hear the word leader, we kind of have a negative connotation with that because all leaders aren't good leaders, or all leaders don't live the life that they say or that they post or that they write about. But Antonio does. He wakes up every day and gives it his all, even to the point to where he's physically in pain, to where he forgets to eat during the day. He literally gives it all, not for him, but because he knows that there are people watching. He knows that he's leading people, and he knows that he's making a better way for them. So when I say Antonio's not the leader who, or Antonio's the leader who not just talks a good game, but actually lives the life that he talks about, anything that he has taught me, I have watched him master, and I watch him practice daily. So we talk about, in our company, we talk about having great character and great integrity. I watch him on a daily basis work on his character, work on his integrity. When he talks about the law of attraction, he dominates it. He consumes information like someone I've never seen before, but he then lives the life to where he is applying the law of attraction in a positive way. So I'll say anything that what you see with Antonio is what you get. He's not, he's not putting up a front. He's not doing anything different. If he says he's dominating today, he's dominating today. If he talks about law of attraction today, he is living the life that he says he is. And I think that makes him the best leader alive.
Well, and it seems to suggest that when he's leading, he even forgets to eat, and sometimes people get mad at him. So
Yes. Yes. So I have to call or text him, and he'll, tell me things he's doing. And then I'll say, well, did you eat today? And it's always a hesitant pause. And then he'll say, well, did I eat? And someone in the office will say, yeah or no. So I'll say, whatever you're doing, you need to stop and go eat. Because someone that driven, someone that determined, they do forget, time slips by them. They do forget to do things like eat or drink water, Antonio.
Thank you very much, Tempest, for sharing that great story. It's very inspiring. It's very moving to see uh, the starting point where you were and where you are now, but as well to see Antonio's starting point and the achievement that he has been able to uh, make within that time of him being who he is and helping other people as well to do the same. So, what was it like you reading this book? Actually, you read this book before Antonio because you
Mm-hmm.
read from page to cover to be able to read the afterword of this.
Yes.
So, what was your overall feeling after reading all this about Antonio?
I was grateful because Antonio gives so much to so many people. And sometimes I, myself included, we forget to come back and say, Antonio, thank you. We forget to, express our gratitude towards him, or he's always, there for other people, giving his last, even if it's his last dime, his last energy, his last bite of food, he's always giving. And people who give a lot, we forget that they deserve to be given to as well. So I read, everybody's chapter, and I was, overjoyed because I'm glad that people are showing him
Mhm.
appreciation that he deserves. And I'm happy that, we're not waiting until he is dead or close to death to acknowledge his greatness. And I'm glad that he's able to see it happening for himself, because someone growing up abandoned, he grew up not people not acknowledging him or encouraging him. So that was important to me, and I'm grateful to everybody who wrote, and I'm grateful to you as well, Dr. Patrick, for even putting this together. It was beautiful, it was perfect, and I hope everyone enjoys the stories that are in there.
Oh, thank you very much, Tempest. Thank you very much for your contribution as well. And the summary here that you give after reading all this book, that Antonio is a listener, he's a giver, he's a doer, he's a leader amongst leaders that allow his followers to lead. So in a way, you've been following Antonio for the last 7, 8 years. And I guess in that sense, you as well have had other people follow you. So how do
Mm-hmm.
you help other people follow you? In other words, how do you change other people's lives? I guess you've learned that.
Great question. I try to show people to show up in their lives. I try to show people to be present in their lives, because I I was living but missing my life because I wasn't grateful for it. I wasn't acknowledging it. So I try to help people be present. I try to help people to show up, and I try to help people see that low self-esteem is not a place that they have to stay in. So just like he helped me come out of my low self-esteem, I try to reach back to others and help them see themselves in a better way.
Thank you very much. And how do you do that? Do you do that through coaching or the ATS Business University? How do you do that?
I would say a combination of things. So I do coach people. I coach a lot of people actually. And then our ATS Business University, we have a lifetime membership program where we train people on how to make a profitable business. And we talk about business, we talk about marketing, we talk about sales, we talk about personal development. And I try my best, no matter what the topic is, I try to somehow wiggle a way in there to encourage people and keep them uplifted, because I think that is super important. I think that separates successful people from non-successful people. People need to be encouraged, people need to be uplifted. And I acknowledge that because I was there. I know what it feels like. And so does Antonio. So we try very hard to make people included, make people feel like they are a part of a family when they enter our anything, any of our products, any of our services. So I think it just comes out in who we are because we live that life.
Well, thank you very, very much. And just to end, we're almost ending the interview and this discussion we're having about this great book and about this amazing man who has gone on to change other people's lives. Just to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, in case you are watching from Texas, in case you're watching from London, we are discussing about how Antonio Smith Jr. changed people's lives. We're discussing about the book which just come out today. And in case you're interested, you can get it on Amazon and you'll be able to read about more stories. There are lots of co-authors, lots of people have written about Antonio and how Antonio has changed their lives. And this evening or afternoon in Texas, we've been privileged to listen to Tempestt Smith on how Antonio Smith changed her life. Yes. So how can people get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
Please find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Tempestt Smith. That would be the easiest and fastest way to find me. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter, same name. But Facebook is where I probably hang out the most these days. That's the easiest way to find me.
Oh, thank you very much. And just to end, what one or two words could you say would sum up the whole of Antonio?
One or two words. Wow. One or two words to describe.
Maybe I'll give you 1 minute to sum up Antonio.
1 minute. Okay, that would be that would be easier. Antonio is a true friend. He is a true leader, and he genuinely cares about people. He's what you see is what you get, but he is an incredible person who has overcome so much, and I wish him nothing but great success for the rest of his life.
Oh, thank you very much, Tempestt. Thank you very much, Tempestt, for sharing your story on how Antonio Smith changed our lives. And in case you're interested in reading that story, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it from Tempestt, this book. You can get a copy from Tempestt, and you'll be able to read her story. You'll be able to read other 24 stories of people who have been changed by Antonio Smith. Thank you very much for taking your time and sharing that great story with you. It's been inspiring. People are saying really great things about you, about your story. I said, awesome interview. Great job that you do and that Anthony has done, inspired people around the world. I'm looking forward to seeing you and reading the book. So this is great. This is amazing. Thank you very much for being part of the history of the Antonio Smith legacy now and forever. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Patrick. I appreciate you. Thank you as well.
Welcome.